we've got Super Bowl 52 odds, but we are ranking least likely to most likely Super Bowl 52 matchups. This according to OddsShark.com. We'll start off with number 15 here. The LA Rams versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, 45-1 odds. Both these teams doing battle in the wild card round. And you'll see the Rams a lot here, which is very interesting in terms of the rankings. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars get to Super Bowl 52? I don't think so. I don't think it's likely this year. I think they have a good chance to beat the Buffalo Bills, especially with the injuries to LaShawn McCoy. But still, I don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars could get there. That's kind of why they're at 15. Rams, Jags, 45-1 odds there. Let's get to number 14 here. Atlanta Falcons versus Pittsburgh Steelers. This seems kind of low to me. I don't know about you out there, but I think the Falcons have a chance to really catch fire and get to the Super Bowl. And, of course, the Steelers can get to the Super Bowl. They have the pieces there. It all comes down to, I'm sure Vegas is kind of weighing this, the Antonio Brown injury and the calf injury that he's dealing with. So whether or not he can come back 100% is the big question mark, and perhaps that's why the odds are kind of lower here. But still, I could see a Falcons-Steelers Super Bowl 52 going down. But they do rank that matchup there at number 14. Number 13, Carolina Panthers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This would be a fun game. Cam Newton versus the Steelers in that solid front seven that knows how to stop the run. Did a good job in 2017, and Carolina knows how to run the football as well. So it's almost strength versus strength. And Cam Newton, perhaps an opportunity to get his first Super Bowl victory. So that would be a fun matchup. 30-1 odds, not crazy, but not, the most likely scenario either. So 13, Carolina, Pittsburgh. How about 12 here? The Minnesota Vikings versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This is interesting because I think the Minnesota Vikings carry a lot more weight to this odd here. But, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a good shot at beating the Tennessee Titans in the wild card round, and it'll depend upon who wins with Buffalo and Jacksonville in terms of who the Chiefs will play next. I bet they're begging for playing the New England Patriots in the divisional, but we shall see. So I think the Chiefs, they have a chance to get to the divisional, a good chance at that. Whether or not they can get on a run and beat a Pittsburgh or New England and get to the Super Bowl is the main concern for me. I think the Vikings have a good path to get to the Super Bowl and get to their hometown, I guess, or remain there for Super Bowl 52. Interesting little ranking here. Vikings, Chiefs at number 12. Number 11, Vikings, Jaguars. Wow, this is interesting to me. Look, the Jaguars, they have a good defense. The Vikings might even have a better defense. It's one of those deals where it's just like you're splitting hairs, but the Vikings can stop the run better than the Jaguars, so that's kind of what I'm picking at there. Again, Jaguars, don't know if they can make a huge run to the Super Bowl. They have a good chance to win Wild Card Weekend, but, that's why we're talking about the Jags here at number 11 and not at number 4 or 3. So Vikings, Jags at number 11. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know a lot of people out there are wanting an all-Pennsylvania Super Bowl. There are your odds for it to go down. 20-1 odds. And a lot of Eagles fans out there usually tune into the Cam Rogers Show. They're well represented. And I would love your thoughts about that, an all-Pennsylvania Super Bowl duel in Minneapolis. I think this would be fun. I think it would be great for the headlines. I think Vegas would love it. I think the networks would love it as well and all the media out there. So obviously a very headline-filled matchup. It ranks number 10. Eagles, Steelers, 20-1 odds. The Philadelphia Eagles, without a Super Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of them. So that's another kind of nugget to point at too. All right, number 9 in terms of the matchup odds in our rankings, according to OddsShark.com. The Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots, the rematch, if you will. 18-1 odds for that to go down. And you're going to see the Patriots a lot more here in our rankings as we go through it. So, Falcons, can they get on a run? Absolutely. Can they beat the Rams? Sure thing. And if that defense and that front seven especially can get after the passer a little better, and I know they can, they got the pieces there with Deion Jones and Claiborne, then the Falcons can certainly make it to the NFC Championship game, maybe beat a Philadelphia or a Minnesota and get to that Super Bowl and play the Patriots. The Patriots have a smoother path, I would say, less turbulence to get to the Super Bowl. They would probably play a Jacksonville. No, it can't be a Jacksonville. It probably will play a Buffalo if they beat Jacksonville, or, it could be a Kansas City Chiefs. Who knows? So I think the Patriots have a nice smooth path to the Super Bowl. The Falcons, they're going to have to get hot. But those are your chances for a Super Bowl rematch. 18-1 odds there. Saints versus Steelers. They check in as number 8 in our rankings. 17-1 odds for that Super Bowl matchup. Who Dat Nation versus Pittsburgh and the Steelers and the rings and all that good stuff in the storied past. I think this would make for an interesting matchup too. Saints know how to run the football, but they also can throw with Ted Ginn and Michael Thomas and Coleman out there on the outside. And the Steelers, again, big question mark, Antonio Brown. But even without him, you saw some pretty inspiring performances from Juju Smith-Schuster and the rest of that offense there without a lot of their starters a week ago against Cleveland. That's something to build upon there. So even if Pittsburgh does not have Antonio Brown 100%, I don't think it'll matter much because the Steelers have depth on offense. So especially at wide receiver, I think Juju is a nice complement to Antonio. And you have Eli Rogers as well. Not the greatest wide receiver in the world, but he can make some plays. And Martavis Bryant is starting to come into the fold now with Pittsburgh. So New Orleans versus Pittsburgh, our number 8 most likely Super Bowl 52 matchup. Number 7, the LA Rams versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Seeing a lot of Steelers here too. So this would be interesting because, you have, first of all, the LA Rams in what is essentially a baby franchise right now out there in LA, getting to a Super Bowl to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers and their history and their past and the experience that they have in getting to the Super Bowl. 17-1 odds here. And I am tracking the comments, by the way, as we are on Facebook Live, and C. Orr saying Steelers will be in the Super Bowl. Okay, love that prediction. Just straight up saying it. For the Rams, though, I would love to know everybody's thoughts about that. Can they get to the Super Bowl and perhaps take on a New England, a Pittsburgh, a Jacksonville, et cetera, whoever it is out of the AFC? Because the Rams are kind of up there in terms of the odds rankings, and you'll see them even higher in terms of one matchup coming up soon. You'll see it. So right now we're at 7 in terms of Super Bowl 52 matchup odds. Rams, Steelers, could you see it happening? Sure. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm not so sure if Jared Goff and Todd Gurley are ready to make that Super Bowl run just yet. I could be completely wrong. They could get on an absolute run here and rip off some wins and get to that Super Bowl. Not so sure they can do it just yet, though. All right. So that's at 17-1. Number 6, the 6th most likely Super Bowl 52 matchup, the Carolina Panthers versus the New England Patriots. This is a very attractive matchup for the headlines. Tom Brady, Cam Newton, that fierce run game of Carolina, that front 7 of the Panthers. Oh, by the way, it's kind of a revenge game for the New England Patriots. They lost to the Panthers earlier this year in Foxborough. So there's that to kind of look to. You have a sample size of that game to kind of look back and study the tape and get ready for it in that regard if you're kind of looking at it from a player and coach perspective, even an analyst perspective as well. So I think Cam Newton in a Super Bowl against anybody is good just for football. It's good for football. And so this matchup here with 14-1 odds, the 6th most likely matchup, I could see it happening. I could see the Panthers being a dangerous wild card team, taking down the Saints. It's really difficult for teams to beat their opponent and that same opponent twice. It's going to be really difficult for the Saints to do it 3 times. Just remember that, because the Panthers now have 2 games to look back on and kind of study the tape here and just make those adjustments and maybe even throw in some wrinkles in this wild card matchup against the Saints in round 3, if you will. So something to kind of look to here as the Panthers get set for a big-time Super Bowl run. So that's number 6. Let's get into the top 5 now. Eagles, Patriots, 9-1 odds for this matchup to happen. Remember Donovan McNabb and the Eagles and Andy Reid taking on the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl in the early 2000s? Hey, could be Eagles-Patriots yet again. A couple of #1 seeds going at it. So we shall see about this one, as I am just kind of looking at everybody's predictions out there. Miles chiming in, appreciate it. LA Rams versus Bills. Ooh, how about that one? John, Skull, Vikes. He's got the Vikings going all the way. Chris, Rams Steelers rematch. John chiming in, Vikes, Packs. AFC has 2 teams. NFC is loaded. A lot of people feel that way, John, no doubt about it. Chris chiming in as well. Plenty of possible Super Bowl rematches. So we thank you for all those comments coming in. Yeah, definitely a lot of possible Super Bowl rematches. Eagles versus Patriots, one of them at 9-1 odds. I think this is a really intriguing matchup. If Nick Foles can be an effective quarterback, then the Eagles have a good shot at getting to the Super Bowl. And I have said many, many times on this show, Eagles fans, you can get to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles at quarterback. It can happen. You got the pieces on the front line with that front 5 and the offensive line that is pretty darn solid. You have a run game to complement Nick Foles. You have a secondary that is opportunistic and a very good front 4 there in Philadelphia. So all of that said, the Eagles can get on a run and get to a Super Bowl. So whether it's going to happen, I don't know. But I am not writing off the Eagles. I know a lot of Eagles fans have been in the comments section before saying, oh, everybody's doubting us. Hey, I'm not doubting you. Just saying. Just saying. So there's number 5, Eagles, Patriots. Number 4, Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, 9-1 odds. So the Vikings would get their home Super Bowl game, and they'd take on a Pittsburgh Steelers team that can run the football effectively with Le'Veon Bell. They have a very good offensive line in terms of pass protection. They've got the pieces on the outside, assuming Antonio Brown can be 100% healthy. I don't know if he can. Even at 85, he's still a top 10 wide receiver, obviously. So a lot of firepower there for Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, you've got Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Harrison Smith, Linval Joseph, matching up against the firepower that Pittsburgh has. That would make for a very fun Super Bowl 52. And oh, by the way, you would think the crowd would be on Minnesota's side, although, heck, who knows? Pittsburgh Steelers fans travel pretty well, too. All right, number 3. Top 3, baby. Here we go. Saints, Patriots, 15-2 odds here. So Drew Brees, Tom Brady on the surface. Love it. Great for the headlines, great for the papers, all this stuff. A couple of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, and perhaps one of them an MVP, Tom Brady, who knows. This one makes for a fun game. I hope this one happens. I do. If we're looking at the top 5 here, I hope this one certainly goes down. I don't know if it will. The Saints have a tough matchup against the Panthers. I think they could be a dangerous wild card team. So the Saints gotta kind of have to get through those hurdles. The Patriots have a smooth ride, as I said, in the AFC to kind of get to the Super Bowl, except for the Steelers, of course. So Patriots, Saints, 15-2 odds. Same odds here. LA Rams versus the New England Patriots. Jared Goff, Tom Brady, Todd Gurley, Tom Brady, a couple of MVP candidates going at it. So I kind of teased it. The Rams are going to be high up in my rankings, guys, in terms of Super Bowl matchup odds. And there they are at number 2, according to oddshark.com. Rams, Patriots, 15-2. So this would be a fun one. I think there's a lot of firepower for the Rams. Sammy Watkins has been playing well in recent weeks. And you got Robert Woods, who's a nice spark plug on the outside. I talked about the offensive line earlier today for the Rams. Has done a very good job, especially on that left side and at center. So Rams, Patriots, could be a lot of points in that one. So there you go. 15-2 odds at number 2. The most likely Super Bowl matchup. Are you ready, folks? Here we go. Number 1, Minnesota, New England, 4-1 odds. This would be amazing. Think about that defense for Minnesota trying to get after Tom Brady. And the good thing about the Vikings, if you're a Vikings fan, you can rush that front 4 and let those 7 players drop back and do coverage.